In the boxes here is IKEA's latest and grandest idea how to make a bed correctly. We'll see, because the previous one was utter garbage. See previous video about it, IKEA's SPFR. So this piece is unsubstantial, substandard. It's a piece of garbage the minute it was made. And IKEA decided to have this beam in the middle of this bed, made out of the weakest piece of garbage they can find. And according to IKEA, this makes a decent bed. We'll see. Box number 1 is 16 kilograms here, and box number 2 is 28 kilograms, that many pounds. So plan accordingly. This promises to be sturdy if it's made correctly. Let's see. So let's see what's inside box number 1, which opens from the left side cleverly because, you know, packaging. So what have we here besides instructions? We have here thin strips of wood that are glued and finger jointed together. So this is fine. And here we have laminated veneer lumber. This is substantial. This replaces the piece of garbage, finger jointed and unsubstantial piece of wood that was in the SPFR. Let's have failure, it looks like. Wonderful. And it looks like they went with, instead of a straight piece of wood, that would be too easy. We need to have proprietary products here, so they went with, plywood. Essentially laminated veneer lumber. Well, it's straight all right. It's glued up along their entire length with hopefully no joint lines in the veneer. Hopefully, but there are joint lines in the veneer, but those do not line up. Okay, this one lines up with maybe there's a joint line. We don't know until it's completely taken apart. Obviously there's an overlap, a joint line there, but that doesn't line up with anything else in this area. That's a hollow spot. That's a hollow spot. It's ugly, and that's a hollow spot. Those are as ugly as they are. There's another overlap, but at least it doesn't line up with any other overlaps in the beam in this close vicinity. So as ugly as they are, these will work better than what they included in the SPFR, which was just the same size of beam, but it was finger jointed and it broke like there's no tomorrow. And let's have one last look at insufficiently overlaid finger joint lumber, where the joint locations are not offset far enough apart from each other. So let's have failure, it looks like. Inside the second box is a bunch of bed slats neatly wrapped, and I'm happy to see these are all solid wood with end grain, edge grain and face grain matching each individual piece. So this is solid wood, nice. We have a bunch of corner brackets and hardware, and we have 2 more of these pieces that make up the edges of the product, and then the bed slats go in the middle. And these are also finger jointed lumber. So what's wrong with these finger jointed lumber? Obviously you can see that the line of weakness here, this one lines up pretty close to this one and continues there. Components that are in bending forces are applied when it's horizontal. This is essentially a beam. This is a really stupid way to make a beam with lines of weaknesses so close to each other, not staggered far away each other. No, that would be too easy. You see, IKEA is working with short pieces of wood like this because we have to recycle every last matchstick from the forest, and there has to be a short little shit piece of wood here. And so likewise in this one, lines of weakness here just line up because IKEA doesn't bother to use a decent piece of solid lumber in places where wood is used as a beam in vertical loads like so. So looking at the hardware kit and the steps in the manual, this is substantial, it's thick, it's heavy. These corner brackets are decent. I see an upgrade since Espevor that IKEA wants to use these what's called joist hangers to mount this laminated veneer lumber you saw earlier to the head end and the foot end of this bed frame. And these are an upgrade instead of just going with 2 bolts and hoping that the 2 bolts without a joist hanger on Espevor, the 2 bolts would hold on loads applied vertically down. So this one is a substantial upgrade, so is using laminated veneer lumber for this beam here. I see a bunch of plastic rattling here. I don't know what to make of it. I hope they are only used for indexing as index pins. So we'll see. Let's go to step 1. It should be stated, the manual doesn't say anywhere, but you need 2 of the wood pieces with these side rails mounted on for the bed slats, and 2 of the wood pieces, the footboard and the headboard, where these joist hangers will be installed. So you're gonna have to find these boards with these holes where the joist hangers will be installed, and these 2 boards will have the long rails installed on them. Separate your wood pieces first. These ones will make the sides, and these will make the headboard and the footboard. I'm gonna get started with step 4 because the pieces are small. They are easier to rotate and orientate and get your head used to flipping the pieces and working with up and down. So what these arrows are trying to say is through the hole and down. That arrow is like a broken arrow, okay? There's a reason for that. So what they mean by over the hole and down is this, over and down. So that would be the down direction. The Velcro is the bottom edge. In one of the boxes, there's the upholstery that will cover the wood, so it will stick on from the bottom inside, wrap around on the outside piece, and come over on top and run on top of the bed slats. And your beam goes right there in this beam pocket right there. So that's what they mean by over and down. So this is gonna be down, the beam goes here, and the bed slats will be here. So this is the top edge, this is the bottom edge of it. Now I see that this screw is not backed out enough for this to go in place, so let's get screwdriver out. So that's how the pieces look like after lining up. This is going to be at the head end or foot end, whatever. This is going to be at the foot end, like so. Again, Velcro facing the ground. This is your beam pocket. This is your joist hanger, and the laminated veneer lumber sits in here between these 2. I hope this makes sense. Next thing to do is finding some of these threaded plastic inserts and the push pin that goes in the middle. So out of all the hardware, you need some of this gray. What IKEA has in mind is press it in place and put the pin in the middle like so, friction fit. 4 slots in the plastic plug, friction fit, and rely solely on the difference in diameter, the diameter of this pin and the diameter of the hole in the plug, to provide some mechanical connection. Is this any substantial? Like, what's wrong with putting in bolts of the same length? Like, literally. If this joist hanger on the bottom here had another hole like this, like the upper one, and another screw were in the wood just like the upper screw, you would have 4 substantial fasteners holding on the beams ends. Now you have, instead of that, 2 substantial fasteners and 2 plastic pieces of garbage that will work. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good on paper, and the bed is not supposed to be racking or rocking side to side. Yeah, but that's not how life usually works. So how substantial are these when they are subject to rocking, racking? Well, time will tell, I guess. Now the manual doesn't tell you, but why you have 4 more of these holes is that the joist hangers can obviously be mounted 10 centimeters further down on the bed frame, so you can have the bed slats at a lower height and have the top of the bed eventually, when you have the mattress in place, at a lower height. So that's a 10 centimeter 4-inch-ish adjustment, something like that. Nowhere is it mentioned in the manual. This is what these are for. So if you find your mattress height after all the assembly too tall, you can lower this. It's important because you have 2 sets of holes on these other pieces of wood as well. So where you mount the long rails that hold the ends of the bed slats matters. So if you went with the top position on the headboard and footboard, top position as in closer to the top, so the top of the beam will be here flush with the edge of the frame, the top position, and that will be the lower position. So if you're with the top position here, you must go with the top position for the side rails to mount. I hope that makes sense, fairly obvious. So likewise, these 2 sideboards are laid out the same way, and a same logic applies to them. Nowhere is it mentioned in the instructions. Why bother? So the Velcro is stapled to the bottom edge. The boards come with the screws placed along the top edge. So match the metal rail with the bolts, and again, same move, just like so. Yes. And the screws need to be tightened. For the 2 ends and the middle, we have the same deal, the threaded plastic fastener and the pin in the middle. In this case, these pieces of plastic plugs are only used for alignment. They are not load bearing, don't worry about it. So the side rails will be adequately supported. Then tighten the screws. If you use a power tool with a clutch, you can set it so that it doesn't strip the screws out of the wood. And the clutch is making this ratcheting noise. It does not over tighten the screws, and you're not guessing, oh, did I tighten it sufficiently? Yes. Yes. And yes, and none of them are over tightened, and all of them are supporting the weight through the slats. So let's do corners. Obviously, lay out your pieces. Left side and right side are interchangeable, just pick one. Footboard and headboard are interchangeable, just pick one. But lay it out, make sure that the rails are on top and the joist hangers are in the upper position. If they are not, it's very easy to fix it. If you want to lower everything, just lower everything. It's not rocket science, because the side boards are also pre-drilled, so very easy to remove those screws, reposition the screws for a lower height. But IKEA doesn't know which height the most people would want to use, but it comes everything mounted already for the top rail, top joist hanger position. So this corner bracket is of 2 parts. So this goes on the bottom facing the floor to the velcroed on edge. This one doesn't go here. No, it's gonna end up here because of the thickness of the wood here. It's gonna be here on this side as well as here on this side. So this threaded hole will line up with this through hole, and the leg is gonna go through it. If you're using legs with threaded inserts, yes, and you can just install the legs one corner at a time, or build all four corners together and then two persons need to lift it. If you do not want any of these legs, because some people are just short, if you want this frame to rest on the ground, then IKEA wants you to secure these two pieces of hardware with one of the metal bolts. If you do that, obviously the threaded hole will be taken up by the bolt, and if you install legs, then you're going to end up with 4 bolts unused. That's fine, you didn't miss anything, so that's an option. Either it's resting on the ground directly with no legs and just goes together with bolts, or it's got legs and you put the legs into the threaded hole. So the instructions don't say this is an either or. Okay, so there it is. So other than that, of course, I'm ending up with 4 pieces of unused bolts because this frame is not sitting on the floor and I used legs. In the tops of the legs, you'll see a bunch of holes. You just need one dowel that goes through one of the holes, just one. The dowel is to keep the leg from rotating once you dialed it in where it goes. So this is how they are going to go together. This bolt is going to go through that hole in the middle, and the dowel will go through one of the holes wherever it does line up, like so, wherever you like it. And of course the threaded bolt in the leg will go through this threaded hole that makes the corner bracket. Yes, so that's how it all kind of looks pre-assembly. Now, IKEA also included a bunch of these plastic spacers that you need to put between the bottom of this bracket and the top of this leg, because of this bump in the bottom of the bottom bracket. So they will actually go together this way. This is how the leg sits parallel with the edge of the bottom bracket. These index pins in the corner bracket will line up with the holes in the wood on the bottom. Same for the top part. So they just go together like this, and then thread in the leg into each corner. Make sure it's not cross-threaded. It's going through the threaded part right there and through the big clearance hole or through hole in the bracket, that one there. Yeah, and there. So the bolt is through the clearance hole into the threaded hole, and I'm spinning it to tighten everything together. And there, at one point, the placement of the dowel is going to be possible, just like so. Yeah, so that much of the dowel went through the hole, like so, very straightforward. Again, its purpose is to stop the leg from rotating. It's not going to be subject to much twisting force at all, and it's going to be not making this noise in normal use. So this is built together as they meant it. It is possible to over tighten the legs and rip the screw out of the wooden leg. Obviously, there's no need to do that. Just line up one of the holes with the dowel and it's going to be fine there. If you have a hardwood floor, you could install these self-adhesive felt pads on the underside of the legs. Not applicable for carpeted. Next thing to do, put the beam laminated veneer lumber piece in the middle and make sure you rotate it with these holes up. According to IKEA, if you put this plastic thing into the holes, that's all basically that's needed to install the bed slats. And these 4 pieces of plastic items installed in the rail through the hole again and move forward. Now, I might need to do this forward later when the slats are in place, I don't know. So how's the product looking as is? Well, because the corners are not solidly together, it's got some flex to it. It is it is wrecking a little bit, so going from rectangle to a little bit of a parallelogram back and forth. Let's see how it works when the bed slats are in place. Apparently I was wrong. This needs to be installed this way. It's holding the first slat in that direction. Over here, this one is holding the last one in that direction. To put some tension on the ribbon, and hopefully the slats stay in place. And likewise, this plastic clip also needs to be facing in this direction, like so, holding the first slat in place. And that's it. Hopefully these bed slats will stay in place by some magic. Oh, I see. So the slats are bracing against each other and against the left and right sides of the frame, but there is generous clearance between them. That's fine, and they're resting on the laminated veneer beam. All right, let's cover them with this. All right, it's been upholstered. I see. This is working tolerably. Just don't wreck it too much. Don't move it too much. It'll stay fine, stationary, standing still, and just walk away from it. So this bed frame with those legs and that random mattress has an uncompressed height when a person is not sitting on it of 27.5 inches or about 70 centimeters. And down here, this has a height of about 16 inches or 40 centimeters above the ground, just roughly. So if this is uncomfortable to get in and out of the bed, again, this can be lowered. The bed slats can be lowered by about 10 centimeters. And of course, there are thinner mattresses as well. Let me show you this wrecking idea with this cardboard box here. So this motion is wrecking. So if you envision that this is the king-sized bed without the bed slats, even if it has strong corner braces, it just tends to do this. And if you install the bed slats, this one on one side and these ones on the other side, bed slats are bracing themselves against the sides of the bed frame. It's wrecking a lot less with about the same effort. So it's braced with the bed slats. They also don't want you to load the legs sideways. They are very, very strong vertically down when people sleep on the bed, but side loading it, it's gonna not bend the wood, it's gonna bend the threaded insert. It's gonna crack it out of the wood or bend the threaded part. So yeah, two people need to lift it and gently place it wherever the bed needs to go.